Small talk. Those critical first few minutes when you meet someone new. For some people, it comes naturally. They can chat easily about the weather, their weekend plans, or the latest Netflix series. But for many of us, small talk feels forced and fake. We struggle to find the right words, worry about what the other person thinks of our conversation skills, and just want to get it over with as quickly as possible. Most of us think of small talk as something we have to endure before we can get to the good stuff. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if small talk could actually be enjoyable, even energizing? And what if it was your unique superpower as an introvert that could help you stand out in almost any social situation? It all comes down to one simple skill: listening. As an introvert who struggled with social anxiety disorder, I spent years desperately trying to come up with the perfect witty repartee. I thought being likable depended on my ability to talk a big game, so I put huge pressure on myself to sound smart, funny, and interesting. Needless to say, I often fell short of my own expectations. I would end conversations feeling depleted and convinced that I had just bombed in front of the other person. It wasn't until I learned how to use my superpower that things started to change. My superpower is definitely not having a lot to say. In fact, I'm pretty selective about when I share my thoughts, because I believe they read more valuable when they read well considered rather than thrown around casually. So while I might not have much to contribute to a conversation about the weather, I usually have a lot to say when the topic shifts to something I know a lot about. The problem was, I had no idea how to guide a conversation in that direction without sounding pushy or self-absorbed. That's when I discovered the art of asking questions. Instead of worrying about what I needed to say, I focused on what I wanted to hear more about. If someone asked me how I was doing, instead of automatically falling into the habit of saying, "Good, how are you?" I would ask them to tell me more about what they were working on or what they were excited about. I was genuinely curious about them and eager to hear their perspective. I listened attentively, nodding along, maintaining eye contact, and asking follow-up questions. They would notice my genuine interest, which made them feel valued and appreciated. And most importantly, they would tell me amazing stories that I would have never heard otherwise. Over time, I noticed that the people I asked questions of felt more connected to me than anyone I'd ever met. They shared their deepest thoughts and feelings with me. Some even confided in me about their personal struggles because they knew I would listen without judgment. And the best part was, I didn't have to pretend to be interested. I was genuinely curious about them. The key to this approach is to make the other person the center of attention. People love talking about themselves. They think they're the main character in their own story, so let them tell their story. Ask open-ended questions that encourage them to share more and listen actively when they respond. Don't worry about filling the silence or coming up with the perfect response. Instead, be present in the moment and enjoy hearing about their life. This approach has been especially helpful in professional settings. When I'm meeting someone new, I make it a point to ask them about their work and the projects they're passionate about. I ask follow-up questions and listen intently as they share their expertise. I also make sure to give them my full attention by maintaining eye contact and nodding along. By doing this, I establish credibility in my field and show genuine interest in the other person. As a result, I've built strong relationships with colleagues from all over the world. I've collaborated on exciting projects and gained valuable insights into different perspectives. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but what if the person you're talking to is an introvert? Won't they get tired of talking about themselves? The answer is no. An introvert doesn't need to talk about themselves to get energy. They recharge by reflecting on their experiences and processing their thoughts. When you ask thoughtful questions and listen attentively, they'll appreciate the opportunity to share their perspective and will likely feel energized by the conversation. Plus, they may notice your thoughtful nature and admire your ability to ask insightful questions. One of the best things about using this approach is that it's a win-win situation. Not only does it allow you to connect with others on a deeper level, but it also helps you learn new things and gain a better understanding of the world around you. And as an introvert, that's a pretty powerful superpower to have. Now, I know you might be thinking this all sounds great, but what if I don't know what to say? What if the conversation gets awkward? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Here are 5 go-to questions that will help you start any conversation. Feel free to use them as conversation starters when you're meeting someone new, Remember, the key is to be genuinely curious and interested in the other person's response. Number 1. What's one thing that you're really excited about right now? This question immediately shifts the focus to the other person and encourages them to share something positive. It also helps you gauge their interests and hobbies by learning what they're passionate about. Number 2. What's the most interesting thing you've learned recently? This question sparks a conversation about learning and personal growth, allowing the other person to share something they value. It also gives you insight into their intellectual curiosity and the topics they find engaging. Number 3. What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day? This question delves into the other person's self-care routine and leisure activities, providing a glimpse into their interests and hobbies. It also helps you identify potential common interests that you can explore further. Number 4. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? This question taps into the other person's sense of adventure and curiosity, allowing them to share their dreams and aspirations. It also gives you insight into their values and what they find important in life. And number 5. What's one thing you're really good at? This question encourages the other person to highlight their skills and talents, boosting their confidence and self-esteem. It also helps you identify potential areas of expertise that you can learn from. If you're concerned about the conversation getting awkward, don't be. Awkward silences are inevitable in any conversation, but they don't have to be uncomfortable. Embrace the silence and use it as an opportunity to reflect on what the other person has shared. You can also use it as a chance to think of follow-up questions or to simply enjoy the quiet companionship. Remember, the goal is to connect with the other person on a deeper level. So focus on asking thoughtful questions and listening attentively. The conversation will flow naturally if you let it. In conclusion, small talk doesn't have to be dreaded social ritual. It can be a doorway to meaningful conversations and connections. By focusing on listening and asking thoughtful questions, you can turn any interaction into an opportunity to learn something new, make a genuine connection, and maybe even change someone's life. So the next time you find yourself stuck in a social situation, remember that your superpower might just lie in your ability to ask the right question. If you found this advice helpful, check out this video next. I'll see you there.